Oh, thanks. Thanks, Renee. For some reason, my microphone got muted. And I had this huge diatribe where I explained the meaning of life and how everyone can become a millionaire in just 5 minutes. Oh well. I guess that's lost to the internet now. Kidding. Okay. Crap. Thanks, Renee. Good looking out. Appreciate you, man. Oh, that's hot. Okay. Let me start over. Two things. Okay, I was talking about my soup, which we'll get to in just a minute. But then my mic got muted, man. I got upset about that. Well, it is true. I was adjusting the mic at the very beginning, and I must have bumped the mute button. But, okay, so I'm going to talk about the soup, but there's a reason why I want to talk about the soup here in just a minute. It'll also let it cool off a little bit because it's kind of hot. I'm going to eat it on camera, and I apologize for that. But before that, I was talking about the Italians. You guys are probably here to see the Italians. Me working and finishing on the Italians. Okay, so what I had planned to do was take the Italians that were sitting right here on the table and texture the bases, flock the bases, and do all that on camera. Right? And I figured that would fill, time. But then I got up real early this morning. And I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and knock these Italians out. And there's a reason why I wanted to knock them out. So, and I'll get to that in a minute. I textured them. Waited for that to dry, of course. That was like at 5 a.m. And then by 7 or so, maybe even earlier, I had flocked them. And then about 8 o'clock or so, I put tufts on the flock. And since they were already fully painted and everything's good, even the edge of the bases were painted, everything's done on them, and they were sitting here, I said, I made a promise to all those people out there that were watching my What's in the Box videos. I made about 12 of them. I recorded them day one, like 11, or day 1 and 2. I recorded all these videos about what was in each blister, and what was in each box. And that way I could show everybody what you get, like when you order the elephant gun. This is what you get. When you order the airborne units with German equipment, this is what you get, etc. And then once I got, while I was recording those, I knew that it was going to take me a couple of weeks to upload all 12 of those videos. I knew it was going to take me a while. And I knew in the meantime, while I was doing that, I was going to be painting on those miniatures. I knew it because it's part of the commission that this guy had asked for. He asked for 100 Italian models, approximately. It's not exact, but there's like 100 models and various different types. And he said, get it done. And so I knew I was going to be painting them. So as part of those What's in the Box videos, I decided to make a comment that by the time I get done with all these What's in the Boxes, I'll let you see what they all look like fully painted. And so this morning, I took an hour and a half or so, set up the photo booth right here, and recorded each set as one long video. But it's going to have the engineers, it's going to have the paratroopers, it's going to have the German equipment, it's going to have the elephant gun, the Breda anti-aircraft gun, the machine guns, the mortars, the flamethrowers, the Bangalore torpedoes. It's going to have the FOs. It's going to have all of, and the plastic box set. It's going to have all of that one item at, not one figure, but like one box at a time. I put on the spinner and I explain, hey, look at this. Look how great these are. And then, so I've already recorded that. Now it's raw. It hasn't been edited. It's not going to be uploaded for the next day or two. But all 12 of the what's in the boxes should be uploaded. If the last one goes up today, that's fine. Because I timed them out like this is what I normally do. Just FYI, guys. When I'm making a video, when I record a video, like I'm painting a figure, or I talk about my Napoleonics, or I show off some figures that I just finished or something. Whenever I record that, usually, not always, but usually that night, I will edit out all the junk, because like me picking a model up, putting a model down, you don't need to see all that. So I'll edit out all the junk, and then I will render it into a new video, right? That process takes, I don't know, an hour, maybe less, just depends. Because my processor and memory and everything is like pretty good. So about an hour later, it's finished. And then I will upload it to, guess where? YouTube. It doesn't take that long to upload, maybe 15 to 30 minutes to upload. But then here's the catch. YouTube takes forever to process the upload. It goes up right away. I could go straight to public where you could watch the video, but what you'll see is like a 240 resolution video, because it hasn't processed it yet. Or, you know, and the longer it goes, like every hour, you'll see a resolution upscale. So like it'll go from 240 to 480, and then it'll go to, I think it'll go to 720, and then 1080. And since I'm uploading at 1440, usually, it does take about 3 to 4 hours, sometimes longer, depending on how long the video is, for it to get to 1440. So what I normally do, and this is all just normal, I'll upload it to YouTube, and when I do that, I don't know if you guys have uploaded to YouTube before or not, but there's selections of when do you want it to go live. And I usually just say schedule it for midnight. And then I forget about it. And then it'll process throughout the evening. And then at midnight, boom, it goes live. So there might be a video that just went live last night at midnight. Or I think there's a couple of videos that are going to go live tonight at midnight. And those would be like the final, I'm not going to go look, but that'll be like the final videos for those what's in the boxes. And then I've got this new video that I just recorded with all of the finished miniatures raw. And I'm not going to be able to edit it today or tonight, because I've got something to do here in a minute. So I won't be able to go and edit them tonight. I've also got the reason why, primarily, is because I've got my D&D game tonight. Every Wednesday night, we play D&D, and we play from like 7 to 11 Central Time. It's a Greek campaign in Greece, you know, with mythological creatures and stuff. It's going really well, I think. The story is kind of evolving there. The players are excited about it. But I run the game. So I don't have time to edit and upload. I don't want to be editing or rendering the video while I'm running the game, because we run the game online on a Roll20, so you can we stream it so you can watch it. Because if I'm rendering and playing, it might mess up the game. It also might mess up the video, but that's no big deal. I can just restart that later. But the game, I don't want to get messed up. So I usually don't render anything while the game is being played. And we don't finish playing till 11. So if I start editing and rendering and everything at 11, it's probably not going to be done by midnight. Right? It might be done by 2 or 3 o'clock, whatever. And then I can always set it to go live at 6 a.m., but I normally just say midnight, just because that's what the default is, next day at midnight. So I just say go with it, you know. And so expect maybe the next day at midnight to see that video. All right, got that out of the way. I got the Italians on the table. You guys don't need to see it. In the next day or two, you will get to see it. We're going to talk about what I'm going to do today here in a minute. But I have this Progresso soup in front of me that I am eating. Or I was until I started talking to you guys. No big deal. It's probably cooled off by now. Yes. Ooh. It's super spicy. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Okay. On the packaging. Whew. I don't even know if I can talk. On the packaging, it's... It's almost caught my throat. Okay. I've got me some almond milk here. I don't know if you can see this. There we go. I got me some almond milk. Not that I'm actually drinking it. It's just on the table there. But I also have me some Monster iced tea. Which, I hate this opening. It's too far back from this can top. And it's too big. This is not your standard Monster can. This is like what we used to call... What do we used to call these? A 50? This is 23 ounces. It's ginormous. And I have to open my mouth to get, so I don't spill any. I hate that opening. I wish they would just have a normal, standard Monster opening. Okay. Okay, that was actually good on my mouth. On the packaging, this is Progresso Spicy Jambalaya. On the packaging, it says, it's got a thermostat, and it says mild, spicy, hot, very hot, kick your ass, or I don't know what the scale is, but it's got like a little thermostat. We've got a couple of, I don't know, chicken noodles in there that are like halfway. And they're pretty spicy. This one was all the way to the right. It's fully red. Extremely spicy. I said, no way. I'm a big man. I can deal with some spicy food. I love spicy food. I was like, I can take it. But I've done this in the past, and I already knew that this is very spicy. I chose it. I chose it specifically because of the spice. Why? Why, Mr. Everything? Why? Well, I'm taking some medicine. It comes in a scoop. You're supposed to mix it in with either your coffee or your applesauce. That's actually a recommendation. Mix it with applesauce. Mix it with other things. Well, I've tried mixing it with other things, and it just makes those other things taste like shit. It's like eating hospital medicine. Straight. You know, like when you go into a hospital and you can just smell the odor. That's what it tastes like. So, I said, you know what? I bet you this spicy jambalaya would kill the flavor. And I have succeeded. I don't taste a lick of it in this. All I taste is my tongue getting burned. So I've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Well, 3 if you count me. I'm getting my lunch, and I'm taking my meds. Ooh. And I'm not crying about it, because I've been crying about it. Okay. Now that I've finished those Italians, I've got a couple of other commissions that I need to work on. I'm not chewing my food because I'm talking. So you guys are causing me to not chew my food. I blame you guys. No, it's, whatever. I can take it. Okay. So, over the next week, I have the house to myself. Almost. Because my son's still around. But he stays in his own world. He doesn't bother me. He's at work right now. So what that means is I don't have to be limited to just Wednesday live streaming. I can stream any day or night, whatever we want to do, right? Okay. Except for tomorrow, because we're going out to dinner. Okay. So my wife went to BFE. It's about a 6-hour drive to get to BFE from here. Where my other son is at. He's in the Air Force, and luckily he's stationed pretty close. 6 hours I consider pretty close. So she's going to go there and spend Thanksgiving with the grandchildren and the sister-in-law, or the daughter-in-law, I guess. Okay, and John, which that's cool. Go off. I can't really do that. I mean, I probably could, but I ship out stuff almost every day from my store, and I would have to close the store for a week, which I could do to be able to go on that trip. But he's only 6 hours away. There's no real reason to do that. He comes here, we go there. No need to go crazy. And I'm not one of those Okay, I don't know how to explain this. I love my family. They're very important to me. But that doesn't mean I have to see you every holiday. Right? I have friends. I don't have to go over to their house every weekend. That's not me. I can live, without having to be, locked by the hip to the kids. I don't have to do that. If anything, if they need me, I'm there. If I need them, they're there. And that's the way it should be, in my opinion. I don't think I should be like, but I understand she hasn't seen him in a while and she wanted to go see him, and she's a woman. It's just a different way of thinking about things, I guess. Really, I think she wanted to go see the grandchildren. I don't think she cares about John. I think she just wanted to go see her grandchildren. But either way, so what that means is I can stream and I can record videos. I could do some modeling or whatever, like down the runway. No, I mean building models and stuff, and not be interrupted with kitchen noises or sounds of the TV going, or something. So expect more live streams over the next week or so. But my point is, okay, finally, after 30 minutes, we finally got to it. And everybody that's watching, I want you to know that Renee helped me with my audio. Basically, I was muted for the first 10 minutes. Okay. I've got a bunch of projects that I need to do. One of the, and I'm asking you guys to help me out. What project do you want me to work on next? I'm opening myself up to suggestions. I can start another Napoleonic unit. Remember, all this is in 15 millimeter. I can start a Napoleonic unit for my Quatre Bras project that I'm working on. I could work on some commissions. Now, little aside on my commissions. If I have one commission from you, I put you on the top of the list, right? Boom, you're there. But if someone is ahead of you, of course they're on the list. But if that person ahead of you has sent me 4 different armies to paint, just putting this out there, this is a fact. If someone gives me 4 actually, how many armies did he give me to paint? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, about 4. Okay, 4 armies. If I paint, and I'm talking about armies, not just like a 30-man platoon. If I paint this first army, which I did, and let you know it's ready to go, as soon as you pay, boom, it gets shipped the very next day. Cool. I even broke it down into 2 lots because he mentioned something to me which I can relate with. He said this one big army at one time is a little hard hit on his paycheck. So if you could break it into halves and do half now, half later, that would be better for him. And I was like, no problem. I'm totally okay with that. So I painted the entire army, and then I broke it down into 2 halves. Right? Okay. And then I painted his his second army, but it's the third lot, basically. Which actually didn't need to get broken down. It's basically 3 lots, right? At that point, I said, this other guy it's been a while for this guy, right? A long while. Nothing's getting, after I got the first unit painted, I was able to paint the whole second army before I got a payment of the first lot. And then I got a payment on that first lot. And then it's been a long time, like over a month. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to let the rest of his armies sit there until he gets caught up. Right? I'm not going to work on something if I'm not going to get any payment for it. I know he's good for it. I just have a feeling that he's taking his time paying for it, which honestly, I can relate. I can relate to that. There was a time in my life when I was sleeping in a dojo. So I totally understand that. So his other armies, I decided to shelf, and then I painted these Italians. Okay, so the Italians were actually in between his armies. So I could jump on back to what am I going to do next. I could go back to painting his armies, but I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to, because he just can't keep up. So I'll just do it gradually, like do one of his armies every month instead of doing them every other week. Okay, so I could do that. I could do some Napoleonic units for myself. I could paint some ancients, which in this case I would probably paint either Macedonians or Romans, probably. I've got some Romans, but I need more. You always need more. I don't have a complete army in my ancients with any of my nations. They're all open for opportunity, which I have the Germans, the Romans, Carthaginians, Macedonians. And I've got English and French knights, which use the same rules as my ancients, which is Meg, Mortem et Gloriam. So I could paint some ancients. I could really knock some medievals out pretty quickly because it's pretty much just plate armor or chainmail. But I'd really like to do like an Agincourt style, 100 Years War style scenario, but I don't have to do that right now. That's on the back burner. I could play some computer games online, live, where we can watch. Now, a couple of them that I'm thinking about playing, not Mass Effect, XCOM. I've been playing a lot of those games. I've been recording them and uploading them using the Mass Effect mods. So it's basically cosmetic, the guns and the creatures and the armor and all that really is just been changed to look like Mass Effect. Maybe the biotics, which is kind of like psionics, has been changed, but it's pretty, and it's the long war, which means that's going to take me a long time. It's deliberately made for players that want to play an extended campaign. Okay, so we could play some of that online, or I could fly some World War I or I could fly some World War II using IL-2. IL-2 is probably my favorite flight simulator game. Or, finally, we could play some Star Citizen. Star Citizen is... They just had an update. They got the IAE going on, which is like an international intergalactic aerospace expo is going on right now. And they're showing off new ships and stuff like that. But really it's a sales ploy. But you can still play the game. You can still run around, do things. And in December, they're going to be releasing a big patch, which I think might be Pyro, which is a whole nother solar system that you can get to. So we could play some. Oh yeah, and there's one more game. It's called The Troop. I haven't played that game in almost a year because I've been because it's still in production. But you can play the scenarios, but they're still working on it. After I played like 5 or 6 scenarios, I said, hold up, let me just stop and wait and then play it in its entirety, showing it off on the channel and stuff like that. But if you wanted to see me play a scenario or two of that, I could do that. Or I could paint some 28mm units for my store, because I have some British, I have some Prussians, I still have French and I still have French, British, Prussians, all in 28mm that I'm trying to paint up for the store and sell. So that's an option. I have like a World War II tank. I might have more than one, actually. I'll have to take a look at what I've got. I've got some 15mm stuff, World War II, that I'm probably not going to use because I spent too much. I could paint some of that up. Yeah, so... So my point is, I don't plan to do anything on stream today with you guys unless you want to see something. If you want to see something, let me know and we can, I can get started right now after this jambalaya. I'm leaning towards doing more for the Quatre Bras. Also, something I want to do for my Quatre Bras rules is take photos of unit placement. Like, I'll take a unit of French, I'll put them in line, take a photo, and then I'll put them in square, and I'll take a photo, I'll put them in column, take a photo, I'll put them in march column, take a photo. And then I can show in the rules pictures of what those formations should look like. I also want to take pictures of units shooting at other units, placement of casualties. I want to melees and different things that could happen in a melee. I want to take photos of all that to kind of put those in the rules so that readers would easily understand what's going on. So I've been thinking about doing that as well. And that's going to be time consuming. because there's a lot of photos I need to take. A lot. I had a question about that, and this is something you can respond and answer in the chat or later. You can see that I've got a grid right here. It's 10 millimeter squares. And if I put the units on this and take a top-down photo, it would be very what's the word? It'll be very sterile and very analytical and easy to identify. Like, it would be very clear of what I'm trying to do. Different formations, distances, even though I'm going to be using inches. I have an inches side. This thing is double-sided, and the other side is green with inches. I could just flip this board over and I could do an inch green thing, which might actually be really good. And that way, when I take a top-down picture of my units, you would be able to see all the different formations clearly. Or, alternatively, if I wanted to go three-dimensional, I could put it on a battle mat or my table with that new background that I created a couple of weeks ago behind it, and then put the units out and show the different formations at like a, what do they call that, a 3/4 view, right? So the unit would be there and the camera would be shooting down at a 45. I think that would be more aesthetically pleasing. I think it'll look better like that, but it might be a little bit harder to interpret what I'm trying to say about the formations. So I'm torn between doing it. Now I thought about doing it both ways. Why not, right? Get an analytical view and then also get like a 3D view. Like when you got a whole army on the table, it would be, well, this, you couldn't put it on this, it's not big enough. But you could actually see like terrain and hills and maybe roads and rivers and stuff like that. And I could explain what each of those terrain items do with the 3/4, right? I could do top down on the terrain as well, but that would be defeating the purpose of putting the terrain out, I think. Yeah. And by the way, I think I've got pretty much 99% of the rules worked out in my head. I just don't have them typed up. So if you have any thoughts or any suggestions about those pictures, let me know. You know, if you have a commission that you want done for yourself, let me know. You can drop me an email. Or you can communicate with me in chat with your email. You can direct message me in YouTube. That way nobody else will see it. I think my email is in my profile on YouTube, so you can email me directly. And then we'll have a back and forth about what you want and how much it'll cost. Working on those Italians, I think I'm not charging enough. I think I mentioned it in one of my other videos. If you hire a man, right? If you hire a man or woman to come to your house and paint your kitchen, right? You say, I want all the cabinets to be yellow. I want the island to be white, and I want the the backsplash to be green, or whatever you say, right? How much does a painter charge to paint a kitchen? Does anybody know? Has anybody had any work done? It's a lot. Let me just say that. And I will say, my brushes cost more than that house painter's brushes. I already know that. The time it takes for me to paint 30 miniatures is more than it takes to paint a kitchen. I already know that. I'm doing precision painting. I'm not saying I'm the best painter. I'm not saying that my stuff would win any Golden Demon Awards or anything. I'm not saying that. But I do paint, bags and boots and helmets and glasses and bayonets and grenades and pouches and rifles and slings, and just using a World War II figure as an example. I do paint all of those. First of all, I also paint them historically accurate, and I, flock bases and all this other junk. And I consider that to be art. I consider myself to be on par or even more of a painter than someone who paints a house. If I went into my kitchen with a paintbrush, first of all, I'm used to painting 28 millimeter, 15 millimeter models. So if I go into my kitchen, I could paint that whole thing in probably one afternoon. Maybe two if I went really slow. The paint cost would be less than like 10 of those bottles. And I use more than 10 colors on every miniature. I'll have to say that. Yeah, because just the Italians that I just did, I had all the paint that I was going to use on that army lined up all the way around here. If I had to guess, was at least 20 to 25 different colors. And I only charge $6 a model. Just so you know, guys, out there in the world, $6 a model. There are some variations for multi-basing, for gluing models together, for flocking and all that stuff. There's a little surcharge for all that. But generally speaking, it's $6 a model. $60 for a 10-man squad. Generally, approximately. Versus the house painter who has no skill. Well, I'm sure he would say he has skill, but he's not a precision painter. He's I don't know. I don't consider house painters to be precision painters. And he gets paid thousands of dollars to do a kitchen. So I know I'm charging way less. But on the flip side, I look at it from my point of view. I flip it around. If I was the person who needed an army painted, and I didn't have the skill to paint it, would I be willing to pay $1,000 for an army? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. Depends on how big the army is, obviously. So that's why I charge. Now I've heard, I watched a couple of other YouTubers that buy painted models. They also do their own painting, but they also buy painted models. And they said $9 is the industry average. Don't go over $9, because then you're losing customers or whatever. And I'm charging $6. So maybe I should be charging $7 or $8. So, and with the economy the way it is, and the way my suppliers have jacked up their prices, I might have to do the same just to stay competitive, just to stay in business. So that's going to be a hard decision for me to change January 1st. It's a New Year's resolution for me, is to reevaluate what I'm charging everybody. Now, I've considered something pretty, I don't know. I'm going to have to say it's pretty, it's necessary, but it's a necessary evil. Yeah, here. I thought about creating a terms and conditions. And it doesn't have to be long. It's actually what the terms that I've considered are super short, but they are to protect the customer and myself. Because right now, as it is right now, if you go for a commission with me, you're kind of doing it on blind faith. You're doing it on trust that I'm going to research the model's uniforms. I'm going to paint it to the best of my ability. I'm going to ship it, safely, wrapped nicely. I'm going to do the things that I say I'm going to do. You're doing that all on my word or faith. But if I had a terms and conditions stating what I will do for you, guaranteed, I think the customers would like that. But on the other hand, there's been some customers in the past that have done things that I found to be unethical and damaging to the business, or maybe just a misunderstanding, right? With the terms and conditions that has to be agreed upon, then there would be less misunderstanding because it would be in writing. One of those is that I guarantee that I research the models and I paint them according to historical accurate documents. Or I will paint them according to what you ask for. Because, okay, there was a customer a long time ago, maybe over a year ago. I might even have the color over here. Well, let's not worry about it. It might be that one. But he sent me some models and a bottle of paint. Just one bottle. And he said, I want the gear painted with this paint. Okay, I'll do it. If that's what you want. It's not correct. It's not accurate. But that's what you want. Because I don't know if you know anything about Vallejo paint. And I'll just share this with you. Vallejo is really good. They're a really good brand. Every year that they're in the market or that they're in production, and I'm just using a year as an example, they have different production runs. They will make a khaki one year, and then they'll make the same khaki with the same part number. Everything is exactly the same the next year, and when you use those two different paints, they are different colors. Not intentionally and not drastically, but you can tell. They have a little bit of variation. Like this one and this one. These are both Vallejo khaki. You can see the difference on the camera. But in addition to production runs, these are actually different. Because this is model color and this is game color, right? And that's not it. They also have something called Panzer Aces. And I think there's another one, like fantasy color, or I think that's what the game color is for. It's for fantasy models. And this is for modelers. And Panzer Aces is more for your miniature gamer, from what I can tell, from my experience with these guys. But they have other paint lines. So not only do they have different paint lines, this is not khaki, by the way. They have different paint lines. Okay, I've got another khaki up here somewhere. Okay, but even within the same paint line, the run will change the color. Okay, hang on. Model color buff. Okay, where are you at over here? Model color buff. These are both from Model Color, but they came from a different production run. right? All the numbers are exactly the same, 976, 976. You know, everything's the same. But you can see there is a slight difference. Is anybody going to cry about the difference here? Probably not. I do, though. I get all bent out of shape when a customer tells me, use this color when it's supposed to be this color. I'll do it, but I won't like it. Okay, I don't know where the other one is. These are both model color, German camo, orange ochre. I don't know if you can see that, but they are not the same color. But they're close enough not to cry about. I don't really worry about it. But what I do is I will use the one that looks the closest to what is historically accurate. Also, when you shake it up and you eventually paint with it, sometimes it does come out a little bit differently than what you see. Like, this is the wet paint. Once you paint it and it dries, sometimes it darkens up, or sometimes very rarely will it lighten up. But some of the lighter tones, like khaki, sometimes will lighten up. So you just have to be cautious. So, okay. That customer, okay, I got into the terms and conditions and stuff, and then I got distracted by these colors. We had a problem. Not the khaki color. That was. He said he wanted it. That's what he got. Okay, no problem. But when it came to another unit, there was a specific weapon in that unit. I looked at all the references, and I saw that, okay, this weapon is made in Germany, World War II. It's made in Germany, and there is a primer sealer color on this weapon. When it is shipped to the German units, their own nationality, the units would sometimes put additional paint on top of the primer sealer. Like their tanks. They would send a tank out in Dunkelgelb, or what's that color, like a desert yellow, and then once they get it in the field, they would slap some green on it, or white on it, or gray on it, or whatever. Same thing with these weapons. When these weapons got deployed, the unit would paint them. This is my historical reference. Why? Because if you send them to France, they would need French earth tones and color, leaves and stuff like that. They would need those colors. But if you sent it to Russia or the Eastern Front, they would paint it maybe in a different color to match the foliage and the ground texture in that area. Okay, and that's why every army in the world, even the U.S. Army, does that. If you're going to, each unit can decide what they want their camouflage to look like on their vehicles or whatever, because of the theater of operation. Okay. And I found that the Germans did this. But I also found their allies did it even more than the Germans. Because the Germans will get this weapon and they'll just leave it. And because they either don't have paint or they don't have the desire to do it. They just need to deploy this weapon as soon as possible. So it gets deployed in that yellow-brown color. But the Allies, their allies, would immediately paint them in their nationality's color. Okay, so I did some research and I found out, okay, I'm painting these off-brand allies for the Germans, right? And I was like, okay, I don't know anything about these guys. Let's go ahead and do some research. So that's when I found out about this weapon. And I looked at all the pictures and all the documents, and I read the translated field manuals and stuff like that explaining this paint. And I was like, okay, I got it. Straight up, we're going to do it this way. So I paint his army, and then I take some photos of the army and send it to him saying, hey, it's ready. You can pay and everything's good. We'll ship it off to you. He sent me an email back saying, the color of that weapon is wrong. It needs to be this German color. And I'm like, in my mind, I got mad. I'm gonna be straight up, because I did all that research to be as historically accurate as possible, and then he comes up and says, no, I want it like this. Of course, I'm going to paint it the way he wants it, because it's his model, it's his army. He's the one paying me to paint these models. If he wanted me to paint it blue, I would have painted it blue. But I would have had the same emotions. I would have said, man, he's messing up. He's picking a color that it's not supposed to be. But if that's what he wants, that's fine. So my point is, it's not a point. I just wanted to share that with you. The terms and conditions. I'm going to put in there that there's no backsies. There's no, if you say you want a Finnish army, right, or a Russian army painted, and you want these guys to be painted like this, and I go, but not colors, just like I want this type of a unit. I'll go, okay, I'll do it. And then I'll make sure that I got all the colors correct. I'll paint them up. First of all, I guarantee that I will make sure all the colors are correct. I will paint them. And I don't want to hear, that's not right. His boots aren't supposed to be black. They're supposed to be black-brown. Or they're not supposed to be green. It's supposed to be this dark olive green color. That I don't like hearing that. I understand that you want what you want. But if you don't want it to be accurate, just let me know what color you want it to be. But I'm going to do everything in my power to make it accurate. Those Italians, I'm going to have to let you know, I painted those with a light gray primer. And then I painted them with a dark blue-gray, dark blue-gray uniforms. And they came out way too dark, right? This actually okay, you can see the color here, but that's how it dries. It's a lot, it was a lot darker. So I said, okay, that's probably not correct. Could I have left it like that? Yes, because it looked historically accurate. But there was just a little bit of difference between the way I painted it and the way they were supposed to be. So I couldn't leave it at that. I painted them. I said, damn, those look good, but it's not right. You know, it would be like painting ultramarine blue with dark blue. It just, you know, ultramarine space marines with a dark blue. It's just not right. Right? So I said, crap. Okay. So what do they, so they recommend a light gray, something like that, mixed with field gray, 50-50. You know, this one specifically. So they recommend these two. And just knowing how these are going to mix, that's not going to work for me. I said, no, that's not going to work. So what I decided to do was take the field gray, water it down, and then blend it in with this. And it actually looked better. It looked really good. But guess what? It's not there yet. Crap. It needs to be lighter because I was going back with more dark, right? This is light, but this came out, it still made it look too dark. So I made another concoction. This is just an example of the stresses I go over. I added ice blue to this mixture. And when I got all three of these mixed, it was perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, that is the perfect color. And this was only like 10%. So if I went 5, 5, and 1, something like that. That's about how much it was. This lightened this up just enough to make it perfect. Then I went through and I painted all the models a third time. Now, after all that labor, if I contact this customer and he says, well, I was actually hoping that you would paint them field gray, I'm just gonna freak out. Because he didn't say that when he sent them to me. Okay, that soup is now cold. Still tastes great, but it has super hot spices in it. Okay, so I've just been bitching and moaning this whole video, and I apologize for that. So, do you guys have any suggestions? Should I do some medievals 15? Actually, I've got a bunch of 28 medievals. Perry. That went down the wrong way. Never drink soup and have it go up the nose. Oh my gosh. And it's super spicy. I'm going to die over here. I do have some Perry medievals. But I was thinking about just putting them on the store unpainted, still in their box. There we go. Now that's another thing. There's like 100 different games out there. And let's just say that I painted some 28 millimeter medievals. Am I going to base them for sword point? Am I going to base them for spear point? Am I going to base them for SPQR? Probably not, because that's ancients. Hail Caesar, DBM, or whatever. Meg, because Meg does, you can do 28s in Meg. So how am I going to base them? What I found was the most popular basing was 1-inch circles as a skirmish. But that doesn't really work well with people that need their armies for Hail Caesar or Sword Point. Sword Point uses a very similar basing to Hail Caesar, but not exactly. And Sword Point's a good set of rules. Hail Caesar's a good set of rules. Hail Caesar, or is it Black Powder? I think it's Hail Caesar. They're coming out with a whole new revised second edition. I'm gonna have to get it. Damn, those bastards. I should have some more of this coming in, but it's not going to be the dragon iced tea. It's going to be the lemon iced tea. And I bet you I'm going to fall in love with it. That's actually way better, in my opinion, than the monsters. The flavor is much better, and the can size is much better. Sorry, went off on a tangent. So that's one reason why I don't want to paint those figures, because I'm afraid I'm going to base them in a way where a customer doesn't want them. You know? Now, I can paint them and leave them unbased and let the customer decide how they want to base them once they buy them. I've considered doing that with a lot of models. Just sell the model fully painted but not based. But that just doesn't feel right to me. It feels incomplete. I can't do that. I got to base it. I have some 28, oh, that's true. I've got some 28 millimeter American War of Independence models that I could paint up and sell. I've got some 15 millimeter American War of Independence models that I eventually will need for my own armies. But I'm trying to put that off. I'm trying to put armies off that I'm not finishing right away. Luckily, it's a very small army. My ancients are small. My medievals are small. My American War of Independence are small. My World War II is small. It just has a super large variety. But the Napoleonics just seems to be a little bit larger. But I'm shooting high anyway. I'm going for Waterloo, and that means I'm going to at the battalion scale, so not even corps, not even brigade like Napoleon's battles. When I did Waterloo at brigade scale, I thought that was a lot of models. But no, at the battalion scale, it's 4 times as many models. Seems like. Okay, so yeah, so I don't know what I want to do. And if you guys give me some suggestions, like what you would like to see, I could do it. I could jump on it. I've got some. I've got a few Bretonians. I say Bretonians, but I mean, I actually have some orcs too. I've got orcs. I have some. I got elves and goblins and stuff like that, and fantasy figures that are for sale on the store. I can easily take them off of the store and paint them. I got vehicles on the store. I can take it off the store and paint them. I do have that Sherman I need to paint. It's a West Wind Sherman that I bought second hand because the packaging was open. I got some 28 millimeter Old Glory Prussians and British. I have some 28 millimeter Perry French and British. I have some 28 millimeter Warlord Games French and British. I don't think I might even okay. I got some Perry metal British. I think it's Perry. Yeah, it's definitely Perry metal. It's a KG. It's a light KGL battalion. Second light, I think. So I could paint those. I'm selling all the flags. That's another thing. I put the flags up for sale because I don't plan to make these units for myself. So I'm selling the flags. So if I wind up, and I don't have any Prussian flags, so if I wind up painting a Prussian unit, I'm going to have to pick like a color for their collars and cuffs and turnbacks and stuff like that, and then not actually mount any flags and let the buyer mount flags, or I'll have to order some flags, which I feel that would be counterproductive to order a set of flags just to get it in and sell it on a model. I'm trying to ease off of that. All of last year I was just buying and buying and buying, and then I had it all on hand. And now, with all the increase in prices and everything, I've decided to kind of sell what I have before I go ordering any new stuff. I don't think I have any World War II models on the shelf. I think I only have the boxes for sale in my store that I would have to take out of the store and put together. Because I got rid of all the Perry medals that I had, which is a bunch of Fallschirmjägers. And they're selling really well. I might have to order some more of them. Plus the offensive miniatures, they sell really well too. So, yeah, so by the time I run my D&D game tonight and I edit and upload the new video, if by that time I don't have a subject that you guys want to see, then I think I'll make a decision on my own. And I might record the entire process from start to finish. How I wash the models and how, because I did that a long time ago, but my process has changed just a little bit. But how I wash the models, popsicle the models, prime them, paint them, wash them, seal them, base them, flock them. I might go through that entire process just because people might want to know that. What am I considering? I'm considering doing some cuirassier, actually. I need... Or maybe dragoons. Maybe cuirassier. Or maybe some Hanovers. Probably not Hanovers. They're too much like British, and I just did a bunch of them. Or Romans. Yeah, I could do some, or I could do some medievals. That would be pretty cool. So get some 100 Years War stuff going. Yeah. So the American War of Independence, just putting this out there, the American War of Independence stuff that I'm eventually going to do for either Freeman's Farm or Princeton. Those are the two battles I'm aiming towards. There's a game called Land of the Free that has a specific way to base figures for that game. I think I am going to just abide by that and pretty much play that game as written. Even though my rules, my Marshals and Generals rules, could be easily adapted to Land of the Free. I mean, that American War of Independence. I'm writing it for Napoleonics, but Napoleonics and American War of Independence, there's not much change. So I've been kind of putting it off because I might want to base it like... Well, no, it doesn't matter. Even if I base it for American War of Independence, my American War of Independence models will never be on the same table as my Napoleonics figures. So even if I use the same rules, I'll just have to adapt for the new basing size. Yeah, I might do that. Yeah, I might do some American War of Independence. I got all the flags. Got all the units, I think, most of them. I could do a couple of, like, Boston units or a couple of British units or something. I don't know. Whatever you guys want to see, just let me know. Okay, guys? Alright, so we're going to end this video right here. I'm going to close it off. It's about 12:30. There's an errand I need to run. So I'm going to go do that. And then D&D is tonight at 7. So if you're interested in that, come back and check that out. Plus, over the next week or so, stay tuned because I think I'm going to be live streaming either painting or playing computer games. So be sure to like and subscribe. But most importantly, hit the notification icon, the little bell, so that when I do go live, you'll be notified. And then if you are in a position where you can watch or whatever, then you can turn it on and watch. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll catch you next time.